Population growth around the world. Earth's human population is growing at about 2.1 a year percent per year. Now, that might not seem much, but it adds around 800 million people to Earth each year. Look at the figures, sorry, on the right for 2010. So, as they are saying, I want you guys to understand this, or I want you guys to explain this to me. As much as they are saying that the Earth as population is growing at around 1.2% a year, which might not seem much, okay? It might not seem much. However, what makes it grow so big? What makes it expand so much? What context can you give me? What explanation can you give me? What makes it expand so much if it's 1.2 per year? I mean, like 1.2 in a country or on Earth. What explanation can you guys give me? If it's 1.2, however, it actually rounds up to 800 million people each year. What does that tell you? Or how can you explain that? If you are given an essay with this topic, such a broad topic, and they say to you, please explain to us, it's 1.2 per year, yes. However, it actually expands up to 800 million people. Does anyone want to take a stand? Okay, my question is a bit confusing. Let me explain it, or let me answer it. So what I mean, obviously from where you're staying, you only see the people that you know, the people that you might know, the people around your town or your city. Now, when they say 1.2 per year, this might actually implicate in all countries. So what I'm trying to say is the birth rate or the reproduction and the birth of people is not something that happens only in your area. Not only the people that you know are actually born, you know. Maybe there's someone being born out there in the world, in other countries that we might not know of. So that's why it actually rounds up to 800 million, because it's something that happens all around the world. So I hope you guys understand what I mean. So I know that it is confusing for 1.2 per year. However, it actually adds up to 800 million people each year. So I need you guys to understand that this is not it's not even an activity, man. It is not an event that only happens in your eyes. It happens everywhere. As I'm saying that somewhere, somehow, someone has a birthday today, which I may not know of because I don't know that person. Okay. However, birth and reproduction and death itself, it's something that actually happens throughout the world. Okay, so that's why it actually couples up to 800 million per year. So the population is not growing the same rate everywhere. Look at the map A. Deep red show that the growing is faster. The growing is faster. And it is the African continent. So please note, population growth is generally faster in poor, less developed countries and slower in richer countries. Population is rising faster in Africa. Population is failing in some countries. Look at the deep green. Okay. So with these coordinates or with these notes that we are given, it says that population grows faster in poor countries or in less developed countries. Why is that? Looking at the situation around you, looking at your country, what is it that you can say about this if you were to comment? Population is growing slower in richer countries and growing faster in poor countries. Why is that? No answer is silly and no answer is incorrect because we all have our opinions. One thing about geography and population geography, everyone has their opinion, okay? So we take it into account so long as you can support whatever you're saying. So why is that? the population is actually growing slower here. However, it's growing faster here in poor countries. Yes.
I think the population in Africa is increasing because probably most of us live in poverty, so we'd probably have more children, and and in developed countries, they probably have few kids, so that's why the population doesn't really grow that much.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so here's a brain teaser. I'm sorry guys for asking so much questions, but I need you guys to engage, because if I encourage you guys to go and read the textbook, trust me, you won't learn anything. Okay, so school is meant for you guys to learn, to understand, instead of you guys actually knowing what goes on. You have to understand what's going on. So what does it tell you about, I won't say illiterate people, but what does it tell you when people who have no money, who have no, well, they have insufficient resources themselves, they find it hard to maintain themselves. However, they actually bring a child onto the world. What does it tell you about them? However, someone who actually has the money to maintain the child doesn't actually do this. What is it that you can say? How can you comment on that?
I think someone that has money doesn't have much kids because I think it's because they understand how difficult it is to raise a child. And those who don't have money think that having more kids, it's like having power and probably would help around the farm and things like that.
That is so true. That is so true, because with population growth and with how it's actually expatiating throughout the world, your levels of literacy and your levels of intelligence, they actually do count when it comes to such things. They do have an impact. So how you think, your reasoning capacity as an individual, okay, your reasoning capacity as paid, it actually counts when it comes to such things, as to how you reason, how you actually take such things into account. So even with
Morning,
saying, morning, how are you?
Sorry I'm late. I was having computer problems.
That's not a problem.
I might need to check it later on today.
Okay, not a problem. We're glad that you're here. So your literacy levels actually count when it comes to such things. Okay, and I just need you guys to have that in mind. How you reason as a person, and how you're going to, your decisions, the decisions that you take, they actually do count. Okay, because in most of our African communities, African philosophies would believe that a child is a blessing, blah, blah, blah. However, they don't actually tend to think as to how the child will be maintained. Okay, so if you are poor and your child is actually birthed in a poor situation, they are actually most likely to inherit the poverty, unfortunately. So I guess that's the reason why we become more poorer and poorer. But I just need you guys to understand that. Okay, so why are growth rates so fast in some places? Population is growing faster in some of the world's poorest country. Why? Because of these countries, people think that children are a form of security, as you had said. Thank you so much. They can earn money or help on the farm, but some won't survive. So a big family is welcomed. Okay, many women have no access to advice exactly about spacing out their children. They may have babies one after the other. Many girls have little choice. They leave primary school after a year or two, and they may be married very young. Now they may have little to say in how many children they have. Their husbands are in control. So can you guys see the aspects that actually pour into this as we are actually going along and understanding why a poorer country is having more birth rates or a higher birth rate? So there is an issue of, as I was saying, a child is a blessing. We can actually attribute this to people seeing children as a form of security and helping them in farms, So they are the sources of, they need more children to actually produce more in the farm. Okay, so it grows the family bigger, but at the same time, they feel like they're being helped by that. It works in their case. Now, many women have no access to advice. As I was saying, that many women, schooling might be an issue, going to school. Okay, going to school might be an issue because, so we don't know the situation and the backgrounds, and mostly in poor countries, you know, sorry, the education system and the education access to education might actually be hard. So you don't actually get that advice as to, yes, you do say that your child will be a blessing. However, how are you going to maintain this child? So such things are actually bashed on the side. So they don't actually understand what they are doing, basically. And many other children have no choice. So this thing of eloping or what do they call this? This thing of marrying at a younger age. So you don't have any choice. You don't have any form or sense of agency, and it's all because of your gender. So I just need you guys to understand all these elements that actually come into this when we explaining why is the birth rate in poor countries so high. I hope you guys understand. I know that I talk too much and I say a lot of things all at the same time, but I just need you guys to understand what I'm saying. Okay? Guys, quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Do you guys understand?
Yes, we do.
I'm glad to know that. Okay, so going to the case of China, there's an exception. China is the world's most populous country and still is, with over 150 million people. However, it is not so wealthy, but it has a low population growth rate of 0.5. Now, it was not always so. 50 years ago, the population was growing at about 2.4% a year.